Did you know that 75% of people fear public speaking more than death? That means, in a room of 100 people, 75 would rather face their biggest nightmare than speak in front of others. But here's the kicker. Strong speaking skills can boost your career, influence your peers, and even change the world. Imagine having the power to captivate an audience, persuade them to see things your way, and leave a lasting impression. In this video, we're diving deep into the art of persuasive speaking with practical, easy-to-follow strategies. You'll discover how to craft arguments that stick, use stories to connect with your audience, and master the art of vocal variety to keep everyone on the edge of their seats. We'll uncover secrets like why a well-placed pause can make you seem more confident and how vivid language can make your message unforgettable. Plus, you'll learn the power of rhetorical devices to sharpen your arguments and the importance of emotional intelligence to truly resonate with your audience. Ready to transform your speaking skills and leave your audience in awe? Let's get started and unlock the secrets to becoming a truly persuasive speaker. Chapter 1. The Power of Storytelling, Weaving Narratives into Arguments. When you think about the most memorable speeches, they often have one thing in common: a great story. Humans are hardwired to respond to stories. In fact, studies have shown that stories can increase our oxytocin levels, which makes us feel more connected to the storyteller. This connection is the key to persuasion. Imagine you're trying to convince an audience about the importance of climate action. You could rattle off statistics, but they might forget those by the next day. However, if you tell a story about a family displaced by rising sea levels, that's something they're likely to remember. It's not just about data. It's about making your audience feel something. A study by psychologist Jerome Bruner found that people are 22 times more likely to remember facts when they're part of a story. So instead of starting with numbers, start with a narrative. Think of it as the hook that draws people in. When you've got their emotions engaged, they'll be much more open to your arguments. Incorporate personal stories too. If you're speaking on a topic that's close to your heart, share why it matters to you. Personal anecdotes make your speech authentic and relatable. It's not just about sharing data, it's about sharing yourself. Stories can also simplify complex ideas. For instance, explaining the theory of relativity might lose an audience, but telling the story of Einstein imagining himself riding a beam of light makes it accessible. When people can visualize what you're saying, they're more likely to understand and agree with you. Even the way you structure your story matters. Begin with a challenge or conflict, build up to the climax, and then offer a resolution. This classic story arc creates suspense and keeps your audience engaged. Consider how Steve Jobs used storytelling in his famous Stanford commencement speech. He didn't just list achievements. He told 3 personal stories that conveyed his message of following your passion. His speech remains one of the most viewed and discussed because it connects on a deep level. Remember, a great story is more than just entertainment. It's a powerful tool in your persuasive arsenal. When you master storytelling, you're not just talking at your audience. You're taking them on a journey. And that's where real persuasion happens. Chapter 2. Emotional Intelligence, Reading and Responding to Your Audience. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is the secret sauce of great speakers. It's about understanding your audience's emotions and using that knowledge to connect with them. High EQ isn't just nice to have, it's essential for persuasion. According to Daniel Goleman, the author of Emotional Intelligence, EQ can be even more important than IQ in determining success, particularly in social situations. When you're speaking, pay attention to your audience's body language. Are they leaning forward, nodding, or making eye contact? These are signs they're engaged. On the other hand, if you see crossed arms, yawns, or glazed eyes, you might need to adjust your approach. One way to boost your EQ is by practicing active listening before your speech. Engage with your audience, ask questions, and really listen to their answers. This helps you tailor your speech to their needs and concerns, making it more relevant and impactful. Another key element of EQ is empathy. When you show that you understand and care about your audience's feelings, they're more likely to trust and follow you. Empathy can be as simple as acknowledging their concerns or validating their emotions. For instance, if you're addressing a team that's been struggling with change, start by acknowledging how hard the transition has been. Then guide them to see the positive outcomes that change can bring. By showing empathy first, you make your message more palatable. Tone of voice also plays a critical role in conveying emotional intelligence. A study published in the Journal of Research and Personality found that people with higher EQ are better at modulating their tone to suit different situations. This means varying your pitch, volume, and pace to match the emotional tone of your message. In addition, humor can be a great way to connect emotionally. Just be sure it's appropriate for the audience and the situation. A lighthearted joke can break the ice and make you more relatable, but be careful not to offend or trivialize serious issues. Finally, don't be afraid to show vulnerability. Brené Brown, in her book Daring Greatly, argues that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. When you share your own struggles or fears, you create a bond with your audience. They see you as human, which makes your message more credible and persuasive. By honing your emotional intelligence, you can turn a good speech into a great one. It's not just about delivering information. It's about making an emotional connection that lasts. Chapter 3. The Power of Silence. Mastering pauses for maximum impact. Silence can be more powerful than words. In speeches, a well-placed pause can do wonders. It gives your audience a moment to digest what you've just said, adding weight to your words. According to a study by Harvard Business Review, people perceive speakers who use pauses effectively as more confident and competent. Pauses can emphasize a point. For example, if you're making a bold statement, pause right after. This allows the idea to sink in and lets the audience reflect on it. The silence makes them hang on to your next words, creating anticipation. Think of great orators like Martin Luther King Jr. His famous "I Have a Dream" speech is filled with deliberate pauses. These moments of silence gave the crowd time to cheer, making his words even more powerful. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it, with conviction and well-timed pauses. When you pause, you also give yourself time to breathe and think. This can help reduce the feeling of being rushed or anxious. It also makes your delivery seem more natural and less rehearsed. Pauses can also help control the rhythm of your speech. Speaking too fast can overwhelm your audience, while speaking too slow can bore them. Pauses help you find a balance. They allow you to change pace, which keeps your audience's attention. Additionally, using pauses effectively can show that you're in command of your speech. It signals confidence. When you're comfortable with silence, your audience will be too. They'll view you as someone who knows what they're doing. But be careful with overusing pauses. Too many can disrupt the flow of your speech and confuse your audience. The key is to use them strategically where they add the most impact. Practice is essential to mastering pauses. Try recording yourself and listening back to see how the pauses affect the overall speech. Are they enhancing your message or do they feel awkward? Adjust as needed. Incorporating pauses into your speeches might feel uncomfortable at first, but with practice, it becomes a powerful tool. It's about controlling the silence, not filling it. Remember, what you don't say can be just as important as what you do say. If you're finding these tips helpful, don't forget to subscribe to stay updated with more insights on becoming a great speaker. There's plenty more to explore in the next chapters. Chapter 4. Visual language, painting pictures with words. Words can create powerful images in the minds of your audience. When you use visual language, you help people see what you're saying. This makes your speech more memorable and engaging. A study from the University of Wisconsin found that people are more likely to recall information when it's presented with vivid imagery. So, instead of just talking, you're essentially painting a picture. For example, instead of saying, "The storm was strong," you could say, "The storm roared like a lion, shaking the trees and rattling the windows." The second version is more vivid and helps the audience visualize the scene. This kind of descriptive language draws listeners in and keeps their attention. Metaphors and similes are your best friends here. They allow you to compare something unfamiliar with something your audience already knows, making complex ideas easier to understand. Take, for instance, the metaphor used by Shakespeare, "All the world's a stage." It's a simple phrase that conveys a deep idea about life and roles in society. Analogies work similarly. They bridge the gap between new information and familiar concepts. Albert Einstein was a master of this, often using analogies to explain his theories. For instance, he once described the theory of relativity as climbing a mountain. It's a simple image that helped people grasp a complex idea. But visual language isn't just about metaphors and analogies. It's also about using sensory details. Engage your audience's senses by describing how something looks, sounds, smells, tastes, or feels. If you're describing a summer day, don't just say it was hot. Instead, say, "The sun blazed in the sky, the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, and the sound of cicadas filled the air." This kind of language makes your speech come alive. Don't underestimate the power of color in your descriptions either. Research shows that people associate different colors with specific emotions. For example, red often signifies passion or danger, while blue is calming. By incorporating color into your descriptions, you can subtly influence how your audience feels about your message. Chapter 5. Rhetorical devices using the art of persuasion. Rhetorical devices are the tools of the trade for any great speaker. They're the techniques that help you persuade, inspire, and move your audience. Aristotle broke down rhetoric into three main categories: ethos, pathos, and logos. These are the foundation, but there's so much more you can do. Ethos is about establishing your credibility. You want your audience to trust you. One way to do this is by demonstrating your expertise on the subject. But credibility isn't just about what you know, it's also about how you present yourself. Speaking confidently, dressing appropriately, and citing reputable sources all contribute to building ethos. Pathos is all about emotion. It's the part of your speech that tugs at the heartstrings. You can evoke pathos by sharing personal stories, using vivid language, or appealing to your audience's values and beliefs. For example, Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech is a masterclass in pathos. He didn't just argue for civil rights. He painted a picture of a better future that everyone could believe in. Logos is the logical part of your speech. It's where you present facts, statistics, and logical arguments to support your point. According to a study published in the Journal of Communication, speeches that balance logos with ethos and pathos are more persuasive. So, make sure your speech is grounded in solid reasoning. But don't stop there. Explore other rhetorical devices like anaphora, where you repeat a word or phrase at the beginning of successive clauses. It's a technique used by Winston Churchill in his famous "We shall fight on the beaches" speech. This repetition creates a rhythm and reinforces the message, making it more memorable. Another device is antithesis, which contrasts two opposing ideas in a single sentence. John F. Kennedy's "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country" is a perfect example. This technique highlights the contrast and drives home your point. Chiasmus is a lesser-known device where you reverse the structure of a sentence for effect. For example, "She has all my love, my heart belongs to her." It creates a mirror effect that makes the statement more impactful. Chapter 6. Vocal variety, the secret ingredient to engaging delivery. Your voice is your most powerful tool when speaking. The way you use it can make or break your speech. Vocal variety is about changing your pitch, tone, volume, and pace to keep your audience engaged. Monotony is the enemy of effective speaking. Even the most interesting content can lose its impact if delivered in a flat, unvaried tone. Start by considering your pitch. A higher pitch can convey excitement or urgency, while a lower pitch can suggest seriousness or authority. By varying your pitch, you can emphasize key points and keep your audience on their toes. Studies show that speakers who use a wider range of pitch are perceived as more dynamic and engaging. Tone is equally important. It reflects your attitude towards the subject. A warm, friendly tone can help build rapport with your audience, while a more serious tone can convey importance. Your tone should match the content of your speech. If you're delivering good news, let your tone reflect that positivity. If you're addressing a serious issue, a more somber tone is appropriate. Volume is another aspect of vocal variety. Raising your voice can highlight an important point, while lowering it can draw your audience in, making them lean in to catch every word. Just be careful not to shout or whisper. Extremes can be jarring unless used strategically. Pace refers to the speed at which you speak. A faster pace can convey excitement or urgency, but be careful not to rush. A slower pace can emphasize important points and give your audience time to absorb what you're saying. Varying your pace can help maintain interest and ensure that your speech doesn't feel monotonous. One trick to keep in mind is using pauses to enhance vocal variety. A pause can signal that something important is coming up, or allow a powerful statement to sink in. It's about giving your audience time to reflect and react. If you found these tips helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more insights on how to take your speaking skills to the next level. There's always more to learn and perfect in the art of persuasion.